Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the DJ Greg podcast. I'm glad you're here. Check it out. With me today is a gentleman that I call the professor. You see, not only is Michael Walter an author and a well-respected authority in the mobile DJ industry, his teaching and the wealth of the knowledge that he shares has been invaluable to fellow DJs and entertainers alike. So, ladies and gentlemen, the author of Running Your Multi-Op and the owner of Elite Entertainment in New Jersey, Mr. Michael Walter. Hey, Mike, how you doing, man?
I'm very well. Thank you for that awesome intro and that awesome background behind you. I want to be wherever that is. I don't know where that is, but I want to go there right now. It's been too long since I was on an island somewhere. That's beautiful.
I hear you. This is the opposite of Minnesota right now. So
Is that right?
Yeah. It could be Hawaii. It could be like a little desert area in Los Angeles. Who knows? But it feels good. It feels good. How's the weather in Jersey?
You know, we're having typical fall weather. It's beautiful. We've had a nice stretch really the last 2 weeks. Sunny days and chilly nights, and I think it's great weather.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay, so let's start from the beginning, because you had an unconventional way of getting into the mobile DJ industry. Could you tell us that story?
Yeah, so I was recruited I had gone to a broadcasting school called Connecticut School of Broadcasting, which my goal or thought was I was going to get into radio. And a company called Star DJs, which was very big in the 80s and 90s in New Jersey, they recruited me. And they not just me, but they came in and actually gave a presentation and talking about getting into mobile DJing. And so I started with them early on. And I do consider it to be non-traditional because so many people that I've met in this industry basically got started on their own and had to go through the learning process of screwing something up and fixing it and teaching themselves, if you will. And I was spared all that because when I started with Star, they already had a training program in place. I walked into that training program. They put me through it. I work with somebody who I consider to this day to be a mentor, Rick Aldi. He ran the training at Star DJs and basically taught us how to, MC and beat mix and everything else. And so I got started with a traditional training program, unlike so many DJs that I've met through the years.
Wow. Okay. So in Star Entertainment, which was really big, like you stated, you worked many positions in Star Entertainment. Which one was the most challenging for you?
So yes, I got started as a DJ, and just as I did, they had an opening in the office. So I was also working in the office. I did sales for a while, but I really didn't love it. So I moved over to the operations side of it. And that was probably more challenging than sales, but I loved the challenge because working with DJs and kind of managing them and making sure all the egos were satisfied and everybody was in the right place at the right time, it really kind of fit my personality and the things that I think I do well. And those things have helped me a lot through the years in running the operations at Star and then moving over to Elite and kind of taking over operations there. I think I've done a better job than most people can in our industry as far as managing talent.
Right. Okay. What about let's talk about your move to Elite. Okay, the early beginnings of Elite. There was a partner you had, right?
I did. So a gentleman by the name of Eric Taylor had worked with me at Star DJs, and he had left and started Elite Entertainment. And listen, I was never thinking about leaving Star because I was super happy there. I was 25 years old. I was making ridiculous money for a 25-year-old. But working in the office, I saw the fact that they had made some bad decisions and the company wasn't going in the right direction. So I basically very reluctantly jumped. Eric Taylor made me an offer to become a partner. So I jumped from Star to Elite, which really was like jumping from a cruise ship to a rowboat at the time because it was Eric and I, and I think we were booking Dave Nace at the time. So one other guy. So for the first year or two, I was like, God, I was so used to like 1,000 events a year at Elite, and now not even 100 or 1,000 events a year at Star, and then not even 100 Elite. But through the things that I learned at Star DJs, I kind of helped build Elite Entertainment to what it is today.
Okay, and then what year did you, took it over for yourself?
So Eric, probably 3 or 4 years into that process, Eric Taylor was a great DJ, but his biggest problem it was he was never able to focus on one thing. He always wanted to do something else. And as a partner, that's really frustrating. When week one, I've got a partner who's motivated and we're going to build this company, we're going to do great. And then week two, he wants to go be a pilot. And then he's back into being motivated and then he wants to go be an actor. And then so finally it was, hey, I think I want to get out of this business. And I was like, great, let me buy you out. We came to a decision and a compromise on the price, and I bought him out. I went into debt for that, but it was the best decision I ever made because now I could only lead 100% and really steer it in the direction that I wanted to take it. So it was, before you hit record, we were talking about things that scare us. I've always been afraid of debt, and taking out a personal loan to buy Eric Taylor out scared me greatly, but I'm so glad looking back 24 years later, I'm so glad that I did it.
Right on. Were you married at the time?
This was during my first, or right before my first marriage, which didn't work out. But yeah, so that's relationship wise. But and listen, I'll say this about my first wife: she was very encouraging. She was one of the people who I consulted with, and she said, "Mike, this is a great deal. You're frustrated with Eric as a partner. You feel like he's holding the company back. Do it." And so she was a big help.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know it takes a lot of guts and a lot of commitment to make decisions like that, and the fact that you didn't have a real job per se to fall back on, and most of the DJs that I know, long story short, do have another job. This is your only source of income.
This has been my only source of income since I'm 22. As an adult, this is the only thing I've ever done to support myself. And yeah, I know that so many DJs I know have a full-time career, and this is what they do on the weekends. And God bless. I will never criticize that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But yeah, I mean, especially if I'm going to own a company and run a company, when people meet me and I say I'm a DJ and they go, "What else do you do?" And I'm like, "I don't have time to do anything else." One of the reasons why you asked me to record this afternoon, I couldn't record this afternoon because I got to be in the office and I got a busy day ahead of me. So yeah, I mean, running a DJ company takes up a lot of my time.
Absolutely, and it's nonstop. It's
Yep.
it's nonstop. You got to create ways of even bringing business in. And that itself is a challenge.
Well, yeah, one of the reasons why it is nonstop is our slow period in the winter when we're not doing as many events is our busiest sales period. So, we might not be doing a lot of events in January, February, and the beginning of March, but we're meeting with tons of clients and we're closing tons of deals. So, yeah, it really is nonstop.
Let's talk about the training of your DJs and why you felt that it was important for them to receive that elite entertainment training. Why was that very important to you and for your business?
Well, because I saw it firsthand with myself. Going back to my days at Star, I felt when I did my first wedding at Star DJs, I felt completely prepared and ready to do it. Now, listen, I've gotten better, obviously, in 32 years, but I didn't go into that wedding like I was just listening to your interview with Rachel, and God bless her, the way she got started, basically bailing out her brother and
Right.
doing the wedding completely unprepared. And I didn't have that process because I had gone through this intensive training program and was ready on day one when Star DJs gave me their first wedding. And I want my DJs to be the same way. So when you train somebody, you train them in your style. Every DJ I know has a slightly different approach to this. And if you hire just some DJ who's been doing this for a while, he or she might be great at what they do, but they may not emulate your style. So training somebody from A to Z means that they're going to do things your way. And B, like I talk about in that book that you held up, thank you. Training can create loyalty, and it's not endless loyalty. You can't train somebody and then abuse them and underpay them and expect them to stick around forever. But I think one of the reasons why I've had really good longevity in my company is that, guys are a little bit indebted to me because I've shown them a way to make money. And then afterwards, I treat them well, I pay them well, I respect them and everything else. Why would they leave me?
Right, exactly. Yeah, that was one of the things that Joe Bunn also echoed when I interviewed him. And going back to this book, you have mentioned that you rather train someone without DJ experience as someone that has DJ experience. Could you just elaborate on that fact?
Sure. Just using that cliche, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. And listen, I have hired DJs who have experience and kind of taught them our way. So it's not impossible, and I won't say no to it. But
Mhm.
yes, I would rather meet somebody who has a great personality, outgoing personality, good look, loves music, loves people, checks off all those boxes. And then I say, "Have you ever DJ before?" And they go, "No." And I go, "Great," because now everything they're going to know about the business is what I've taught them, not what they learned on their own or somebody else taught them. I'm not going to have to break any bad habits. I'm showing them everything that they need to know. So yeah, given a perfect world, I'd rather somebody who checks off every box but has never DJed before.
Right. I mean, it may take longer, but in the end, it's worth it.
Absolutely.
So, okay, let's talk about, everybody's favorite period of time, this COVID period, man, just knocked out every business, and the economy, all industries came to a crawl, right? How was it that you were able to pivot, during this time?
Greg, to be honest with you, I don't know that I really have pivoted. I have not come up with a new revenue stream or anything else. Basically, our company has taken its shots, and we're obviously way down. 2020 is going to be the worst year financially that we've ever had. But we're going to survive it. Part of that is the fact that I did get some government funding early on. So that enabled me to keep my full-time. I have two full-time people in the office, so that enabled me to keep them on salary, which has helped me tremendously. Most of my DJs have full-time jobs, and this is what they do on the weekend. So it's not like I have a lot of DJs who have been, who have lost their houses because they're not DJing. Basically, they're just going to, like myself, 2020 is going to go down as a bad financial year from them, but they still have their full-time checks coming in. And we've been booking some events for the future. We're down, our sales are way down compared to what they usually are, but they're not down to zero. We are still booking some future events. So I know some people who have, are doing outdoor drive-in movies and virtual dance parties, things like that. I've looked into those options. None of them seem to make sense to me. So we're basically just keeping on, keeping on.
All right, all right, and that's the main focus. That's always the main goal. Okay, so no, so not really pivoting. Just keep on keeping on.
And Greg, if I can add one more part to that,
Sure.
I always go back to my days at Star and how much I learned there. Maybe that's one of the reasons, because as I alluded to, Star had gotten themselves into some financial problems. And it wasn't because of the DJ industry. It was because of other things that they took their eye off the prize and focused on other things. And maybe that's one of the reasons why I've always been reluctant to focus on anything but the DJing thing, because I saw it happen badly at my days at Star DJs. I saw a company that was so good at DJing, but they wanted to go in different directions, and that's what got them in trouble. So maybe that's one of the reasons why I've always been like, let me just focus on what I really know well.
I like that. I like that. Yeah. So, I mean, for myself, I mean, I got into live streaming and, of course, the podcast, because now it just created a pocket of time to do something else. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? But always the focus was on DJing, because, as a DJ, you're either on the mic or you're behind the decks, and that is just what you do. When you do it for so long, what else do you know, right?
Right.
This
Right.
is what you know. This is your bread and butter. This is your number one skill.
Yeah, I've heard people say that the event industry is over, and I don't think that that's the case. I think we will bounce back. I mean, my experience doing events, since we were allowed to be back here in New Jersey, people are dying to party. People are dying to get out there and dance. It's hard to keep people off the dance floor nowadays. So
Mhm.
looking at that as an example, I don't see how, once COVID is behind us and we have a vaccine, I don't see why this industry isn't going to bounce back. But part of it, I might also be reacting to the fact that this industry can't go away because I can't do anything else. And I'm too young to retire. I can't picture at my age thinking like if my career just went away, if there was no such thing as live events anymore, well, what am I? I'm too old to learn something new and I'm too young to retire. So I'd be kind of stuck in that. So I need the event industry to come back.
Right, and I believe that it will, because when officials were speaking about how we could slowly put the event industry back, and when it came to the dancing part, some officials were saying, yes, you can have music, but you can't dance, and I'm thinking, how are you going to have music and nobody dance to it? Especially when the DJ or the entertainer is playing the right music, and it has an effect on the crowd. You either tap your feet or you get to dance, and it's like, where
I
are
just,
we?
I just thought of an analogy, and I hope you don't mind me sharing this.
I'll go for it.
It's one of the reasons why I cannot stand a lap dance in a strip joint, because that, like, why do I want that but not that? You know what I mean? Like,
Right,
and
right.
I think right, music without dancing is kind of the same thing. Like, why would you want to be like upbeat dance but you can't get on the dance floor? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, yeah, it just seems to be like if you're gonna have one, let's have everything. I don't know. Bad analogy.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
Yep. You
You
can't
can
have
edit
one
that part
without
out
the
if you
other.
need.
I like the analogy too.
Good.
All right. Let's talk about also, speaking of COVID and everything, the future. You do believe, and I do believe along with you, that events will come back.
Mhm.
Now, when they do, what does the future look like for elite entertainment in the next, let's say, maybe 5 to 10 years?
Well, like I said, we're going to keep on keeping on, and I'm going to continue. I was already training 2 new MCs this past winter. They were so close to being ready to go out. I was actually talking to one of them yesterday. Um, and I'm like, Barry, it's a shame because you should have 15 events under your belt by now. He would
Mm,
have finished his training in the spring. We would have started booking him. By this point in October, yeah, he probably would have done 15 to 20 events already for Elite Entertainment. So I had Barry and Coretta in training, ready to go. So when we come back, we will finish their training, and basically their debut will happen in 2021 instead of 2020. But I mean, I'll continue steering the mothership of Elite Entertainment. I'll continue looking for talent and booking talent, because that's what I do and what I've always known to do. If you're asking me for what I think the biggest difference in our industry is, one of the things that we participate in a lot that I don't know if it's ever going to come back is bridal shows. We used to do a lot of live showcasing, and I just don't know if that part of the industry was already going down because so many millennial brides would rather shop from home. They just, our attendance at bridal shows had been on a steady decline anyway, and
hmm
I just don't know if that part of the industry is going to bounce back.
Yeah, that's a very scary thing. My wife had mentioned that for the bridal shows, we do a lot here in January, because it's
Yeah.
after Christmas, engagement season's beginning, whatever. And, brides are also, happy. Now, depending on, COVID numbers, you may not get that crowd in January. But if things go good, let's say around that time, there's other bridal shows in March. So she's saying, like, hold off on January, things go great, then March will be the month that people will begin maybe coming back
Hey,
into
listen,
bridal
I
shows.
hope your wife is right. I hope by March of 2021, we have a vaccine, the numbers are down. I hope that we come back to some normalcy. And by the way, happy anniversary. 10 years,
Oh
man.
yeah, thank you, man.
That's awesome.
Appreciate it.
See, I
Yep.
cyber stalked you too. Yeah, that's a big accomplishment. I think, especially in our industry. I think, much like myself, my first marriage didn't really work out. Kelly and I, God bless, are going strong. But yeah, 10 years, man. That's quite an accomplishment. Happy
Right
anniversary.
on. How long has it been to
Kelly and I celebrated 7 in March.
all
So
right.
yeah, we're right
All
behind
right,
you.
man.
Yeah,
Congratulations, and keep that going
thank
too,
you.
man, because
Thank
it's rough out for the wives, because they see us, working, going out every weekend. And, sometimes, I don't know about Kelly, but, sometimes my wife will like look at me and say, you know what, another Saturday, another weekend, we need some us time. So there's that need for balance of, family life DJ life, weekend life, whatever you want to call it?
My best advice to people who tell
Mhm.
me that they have that challenge is you need to have a date night. And it, obviously for us, it needs to be probably a Thursday night or a Wednesday night or whatever. But yeah, I think that having something where you can remind your wife or significant other or whoever that you're still special to me and we are still dating. It might not be a Saturday night, might not be a Friday night, but I think setting one night aside a week and saying, this is our date night. We're either going to go out to a nice dinner or we're going to make a nice dinner, watch a movie, that type of thing, I think is kind of important.
Yeah, it is. It is, man. Because happy wife, happy life, right?
Amen. Amen. Yep.
But happy man, that is the plan.
I like that. There you go.
You
Very good.
know,
Very
that's
good.
what I'm on.
Very good.
Okay, let's go back. You were speaking of hiring talent. What is your process of hiring talent?
So it's really a two-step process. First of all, I am always, always, always looking for talent. So if I happen to meet somebody in my everyday walk of life and I think that they have the skills to be a DJ, I give them a business card. I tell them, I own a DJ company. I think you'd be great. Contact me. But then specifically, there are one or two times during the year where I call it throwing the net out, where I actually advertise for talent. And usually they are April and August because those are the 2 months right before our busy season starts. So back in the day, I used to put classified ads in a local newspaper. Now I use Craigslist and Facebook jobs, and then we do it cyber wise or virtually. But yeah, I throw the net out and I interview people, and more than half of the people who walk through my door don't have the ability to do this, and they're not the right people. But every time I do a recruitment push, I get some gems. And I highly recommend anyone who doesn't do this on a regular basis, put out an ad, see who walks through your door, and you never know, you might just find your next superstar.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. So, all right. So let's get down to like the meaning of success, because you've had great success throughout your career. What is the Michael Walter meaning of success?
Well, first of all, we've already kind of touched on one thing. The fact that I can support myself by just DJing, I think is one of the big steps. This isn't a part-time job for me. This is my full-time career. It's the only thing I've known. But I think to me, the most important definition of success is that I actually have time to pursue other passions in my life. I think I'm a successful business person and I run a successful company, and I have days where I'm strapped to my desk and I'm busy as all hell, but I also make sure that I have time in my life. I'm envious of that beach behind you. Uh, but I spend a lot of, I live on the Jersey Shore. Asbury Park is 8 miles away. It's a 12-minute drive.
Oh, wow.
And I make sure I spend, especially in the summertime, a significant amount of time on the beach. My wife and I get, usually, obviously this year we didn't get it, but usually we get one or two very elaborate vacations every year where we go to Europe or we go here, we go there. A couple of years ago, we did a 3-week drive around the country. So, to me, it's not necessarily about financial success. It's about making enough money that you can support yourself and live well, but also that you have enough time to pursue other passions in your life.
I like that. I like that a lot. And you are a very busy man. I mean, you got the podcast with Joe Bunn. You still do a lot of teaching, consulting. Yeah, man, you're a very busy man. But here's something else too that I want to put everybody else on. Well, on this day in
Oh,
music, I was like, how does this guy know all of this stuff? I mean, this book is thick. Every day in music, you have a story about somebody hitting it big and Billboard charts, #1 hits, and then the backstory of how they achieved that success. This is a very awesome book, Mike, and I
you know what,
think
Greg? We're recording this the day after Eddie Van Halen passed away.
yes,
There is an excerpt in the book about Van Halen and how that band came about. And also yesterday, and he's not going to get nearly as much attention because he wasn't as famous, but also never die on a day when somebody more famous than you dies because you weren't.
right,
But Johnny Nash passed away. And the song I Can See Clearly Now is one of my favorites. It's such an uplifting and optimistic song. And
right.
there's a day about Johnny Nash in the book as well. And I talk about how he helped introduce reggae to the States. Johnny Nash actually was the first person to sign Bob Marley to a record deal. So yeah, I thank you very much for mentioning it. Anyone who's interested can find a copy on the website is onthisdateinmusic.com. And that's exactly what it is. There's 366 excerpts, one for every day of the year. And I just tell you a quick little story about the music.
Yeah, I love it. I love it,
Thank
man.
you, Greg.
I was going who I was reading about Rod Stewart
Mm-hmm.
the other day. I think that was October 3rd or October 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like going through other stories. I'm like, this guy has a plethora of music knowledge, man, and I love it. And I love it. Most of the stuff reminds me of the music that I used to listen to, or the music, I should say, that my father exposed me to when I was a kid. And it's all in this book. I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Greg.
So
Thank you very much.
so hopefully I get a moment where not only do we talk about, running your multi-out, but also talking about On This Day of Music and just going through your musical knowledge of different bands, different groups. And we could do that. We'll call it Michael Walter Part 2.
I'd love to come back on. You let me know, Greg.
I will, definitely. I know you're a busy man. I want to thank you for your time, Michael. And, best of luck to you. Best of everything for Elite Entertainment, you and Kelly. Just keep on keeping on, like you said.
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. Thank you once again.